Today we're going to make fruit fly cultures. The first step is to use just some Clorox cleaner, disinfect our workspace. We have to try to keep this as clean as possible, that way we don't get mites or have any contamination into our fruit fly cultures. So I'll give this a quick wipe down. Keep wiping until it doesn't leave streaks. Alright. So now we'll put on some disposable nitrile gloves. Get the 2 cups I'm going to be making the fruit fly cultures with. And what I use as my fruit fly media is this Fruitfly Superfly. I'm actually about out on this can, so I've got a brand new can ready to go. I'll probably have to use it as well. Got two of the cloth lids for the fruit fly cultures. And each one of these scoops that I have dedicated to the fruit fly cultures are 2 tablespoons each. That is for the Fruitfly Superfly. And then I will use 2/3 of a cup, and I have these. There's 1/3 of a cup each, so it's real easy for me to remember. Just 2 of those of the Superfly and 2 of these of tap water, as hot as I can get it. So what I'll do here is I'll go ahead and open up my new can of Superfly because I know I'm going to need it. Opened up. See how much I got in this old one now. I've got about 1 in that old one, so I'll add that. Pour this on top so I'm not wasting any of it. Give me another one of these. So 2 in that one. 2 in that one. Alright. That will do it for the Superfly. And you can use 3 tablespoons if you actually boil your water. I would rather use the extra tablespoon of Superfly and just have to do tap water instead of having to wash dishes and get a pot and all that stuff. Okay, now I've got just some tap hot water that I put in this little jug for me. I will take my 1/3 of a cup measuring cup, and I will add 2 of these to each culture. Alright. I'll just take a plastic spoon and I'll get this mixed up until it's the consistency of kind of thin mashed potatoes. And you'll scrape the bottom, make sure you get all of that powder dissolved into the liquid. And as you mix, you'll see it start thickening up. Mix it all in there. Now, see, about that consistency. And I'll do the other one. That's done. Now what I got here is I've just got a little tote with my Excelsior in it. It actually comes in a bag, but I find I make a bigger mess with the bag. These are just really thin wood shavings, and there's no way I found to keep this from not going everywhere. It's going to go everywhere. You just pull out some that you think is about the right amount, and I need a little bit more of that. There we go. So I've got about this amount now. And I'm just going to kind of separate these out so it has some air pockets. I'm going to wad it up and just stick it down in there. And when I stick it down in there, I'm going to put a little bit of pressure just to kind of get it down in that media and spread it out. All this does is this gives the fruit flies somewhere to go besides just setting on the media. Some people use coffee filters. I like the Excelsior because it goes a long way and you can buy a bag of it pretty cheap. Then I'm just going to stick that in there and then put the lid on it. Put that off to the side. That one's done. Now I'll do the same for the other one. Now, I've made both the cultures. I'm just going to take all this on my reptile bench, all this extra Excelsior, and this is where a little separate tote for the Excelsior really comes in handy, because then I can just take all that extra Excelsior and rake it back in my tote. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these set, probably at least 8 hours. I usually just let them set overnight before I add the fruit flies in, because the fruit flies do not like heat. So the hot water inside there will have that environment way too hot for them right now. So I'll set it off to the side, I'll let them cool, and then I will, in the same video, you'll see me add the fruit flies. I'll just stitch it together later. Alright, we are back. Now the fruit fly cultures have cooled down. I'm going to pop the lids off of these and make sure all my Excelsior is stuck down in the cup. I've got a fruit fly culture here that's been going for almost a month. I don't want them to go longer than a month. They can break out in mites. So I'm going to take it and just tap the lid a little bit so none of them come flying out. And I'll open it up. And then I'm going to make sure I get a generous amount of flies in each culture. Try to. Put the lid back on these. See, I've got a few flies down in there. And you don't have to make an exact science with this, because if you stay ahead of your fruit fly cultures, then you should not ever run out and be relying on these. And that's the most accurate way to do it. That way you never run out. So the longer you leave these sit, the more they will breed and the more fruit flies you will have. What I always do is I try to stagger them a little bit. Like this cup, I put a lot more fruit flies in than I worried about with this one. And that's because I'm going to feed this one first. I'm going to feed the fruit fly cultures I already have, and then I'll start with this one, and then I'll do this one last. And the reason why is because this just has a few more flies to make cocoons and lay eggs and to start off a little more of a robust culture. This one can go a little bit longer because it doesn't have as many flies in it. So I'll feed it last. And I always, in my room, I have them, like, okay, so this was number 1, that's number 2. So I have them on this, and I always run it number 1, 2, 3, 4, because my Dartfrog aquarium's right there. So I'll take these 2. And this one had the least amount of flies in it, so I'll put it in number 4. This one had a few more, so I'll put it in number 3. And then the fruit fly culture I pulled out of is the one that I'm feeding right now, and it is just about done with. But there you go. Now I have enough fruit flies to last me several more weeks.